Alright, strap in and prepare your Schwartz, because today we're diving into Spaceballs, 1987, the only sci-fi spoof brave enough to ask, what if Darth Vader had chronic neck problems and a serious Napoleon complex?
This is 19 Spaceballs facts that absolutely no one asked for. But we made the video anyway because what else are we gonna do? Read? Let's get into it.
Mel Brooks made Spaceballs out of pure spite. That's not hyperbole, he literally said he was sick of sci-fi taking itself too seriously. So he built a movie where the galaxy is ruled by a man named President Scroob. That's Brooks backwards, because subtlety was assassinated early in this production. George Lucas let it happen, but only under one very stupid condition. Lucas watched an early cut and liked it, until he realized people might think the Spaceballs toys were real Star Wars merch. So Brooks had to promise no action figures, which is why we only got Spaceballs the breakfast cereal, Spaceballs the flamethrower, and Spaceballs the missed merch opportunity of the century. Rick Moranis basically was Dark Helmet. He improvised most of his lines, all of them. From the "I see your Schwartz is as big as mine" to the absolute meltdown during the self-destruct countdown. That wasn't acting, that was Rick realizing he was stuck inside a humid motorcycle helmet for 12 hours a day. Also, that helmet, it weighed 40 pounds, which explains why he walks like a man who just herniated 3 discs and a bit of his soul. John Candy's barf costume had a tail that ran on hydraulics. The tail wagged via remote control, and his ears? Animatronic. So in case you're wondering, yes, there was an actual guy off screen paid to wiggle John Candy's dog ears. He probably listed that on his resume for the rest of his life. Pizza the Hut was melting. The actor inside. The costume was filled with actual goo, and it got so hot the actor almost passed out. You know you're underpaid when your job is melting cheese mob boss, and the pizza sauce is trying to kill you.
Ironically, Pizza the Hut was played by a guy named Dom DeLuise, who phoned in the voice from New York while someone else physically suffered inside a mozzarella sarcophagus in LA.
The desert combing scene almost killed the joke, and the crew. Yes, they actually dragged giant combs through the desert for one stupid visual gag. And the actors almost passed out from heat stroke. But hey, anything for comedy, or for the one guy who thought that line was genius. Dot Matrix had a stunt double. Joan Rivers voiced the robot, but the physical performance? That was Lorene Yarnell, a mime. Which means Spaceballs is one of the few movies where a mime had to mimic a robot voiced by Joan Rivers. The Venn diagram for that job description is just one dot in a therapist's office. Michael Winslow made his own sound effects, and saved the production money. You remember the beeps, boops, and boopity beep scene? That was him. And he did it live because they were over budget and couldn't afford to hire a sound guy that day. Imagine being so good at mouth noises that you cover a line item in the budget. The script constantly changed, like daily. Actors were handed new pages on the spot. Continuity? Not even in the same galaxy. Which explains why Barf's tail randomly disappears in some scenes, because no one gave a single damn by week 5 of shooting. There's a Wilhelm scream. Of course there is. Because even in a parody, Hollywood just can't resist recycling the same man falling off a ledge noise from 1951. There's a whole scene where they watch the movie they're in. While still in the movie. Let me say that again. They pop in the VHS tape of Spaceballs. While in Spaceballs. And fast forward to the scene they're in while filming that scene. That's not a fourth wall break, that's a nuclear detonation of narrative logic. Christopher Nolan watched that scene and wept. The names are all puns, bad ones, on purpose. Dark Helmet, Yogurt, Scroob, Colum Sanders. The man really called his military sidekick Colonel Sanders and didn't even try to hide it. That joke is so low effort, it's basically taking a nap. But there's a dude in the credits named Asshole Technician. And no, this isn't slang, it's the guy responsible for launching the radar jamming Raspberry signal. His name badge says Major Asshole. It's dumb, it's immature, it's perfect. The final escape pod scene reused stock footage from Star Wars. Okay, not literally, but so close it hurts. The joke was that they were parodying Alien, but they accidentally made it look too much like Star Wars. Basically, it's Alien meets Star Wars, produced by Looney Tunes. The budget was weirdly high for a parody, at $22 million, and most of it went to building elaborate sets they immediately made fun of. That's like building a Ferrari just to crash it into a Chuck E. Cheese for a prank video. The ship transformation scene took weeks to animate. Mega Maid turning into a vacuum. That wasn't just a quick gag. They spent days animating it because Mel Brooks insisted it be as stupidly dramatic as possible. The result? A gag that lasts 20 seconds and aged like unrefrigerated yogurt, but we love it anyway. The movie has a Hitler mustache joke, because of course it does. Mel Brooks plays Yogurt, a wise Yoda-like creature, but also Scroob, a sleazy president with a pencil-thin mustache that's suspiciously Hitler adjacent. It was Mel's way of mocking authoritarianism. Or he just thought, what if a dictator ran the galaxy but had IBS and ran out of deodorant? Either way, we got a space fascist who says, I bet she gives great helmet. What a time to be alive. The movie was reviewed as immature and juvenile, which was the whole damn point. Critics were confused. Some called it cheap and lazy, which is hilarious because that's literally the joke.
There's been talk of Spaceballs 2 for decades.
Yes, Mel Brooks has been teasing the search for more money since the original came out. And no, it never happened. Probably because they knew they couldn't top the original's chaotic perfection. Or maybe Rick Moranis saw the helmet again and said, nope, my spine remembers. Spaceballs is like a frat party hosted by Shakespeare. If Shakespeare was drunk and only spoke in Mel Brooks quotes. Every fart, every pun, every physical gag is a punch to the face of cinema snobs. And we love it for that. Spaceballs wasn't just a parody, it was a big, dumb, glorious middle finger to every sci-fi movie that ever took itself too seriously. And somehow, it still holds up better than most modern CGI sludge fests. Now it's time to hear from you. Which Spaceballs fact made you laugh, groan, or check the fridge for leftover pizza? Drop your favorite moment in the comments, and let me know which classic movie deserves to be lovingly roasted next. Because there's a long list, and no franchise is safe.